Motivation can be motivation for playing, and as a consequence for learning through playing can be enhanced by using competition as a motivational factor. Because also these games involve many players, it has been observed that the players have different levels of abilities. So some players progress very fast, some players are very slow in the game. This has to be balanced out during game design to take into account the fact that game pace has to be adjustable regarding to skills. So, I was very brief, and just to sum up, what we did was to try to make a set of guidelines to support future game design for mobile games in places for learning, in open places. So to do this, we used previous experience by studying 3 concrete examples of implemented and tested games. 2 of these games were implemented and tested by members of the team. So additionally, we had insights from our own experience. And we also consulted external experts in various phases of our endeavor. We validated preliminary, it's not finished yet, the guidelines, the design dimensions on the guidelines by using them as input in design sessions for future games. So up to now, it turns out that the guidelines help in 2 main categories. They help point out overlooked issues during game design, and they can support design decisions. So I'm finished.
Thank you, Christos. And now we still have time, I hope, for questions. Yes, please.
You had one requirement towards the end that too much competition could compromise knowledge.
Yes.
Which makes sense to me. Before that, you have another requirement that said that you should be very explicit how a certain task relates to the full game, to the success in the full game. My question is whether you think that these 2 are compatible, or whether if you make it too explicit, what is the winning strategy, whether this would also compromise exploration, authentic behavior.
Okay, this is a very good question because, in fact, many guidelines are contradictory. This is not a set of guidelines to make a specific game, but as a guide is more general to guide. So, if you as a designer have in mind a game with a high competitive factor, you may want to leave out guidelines that discourage competition, and have to look into guidelines regarding competition. So it's true, they are contradictory.
Yeah, but in particular to that one, I would like to hear your thoughts, whether making explicit the scoring on a certain action is good or bad for games that aim learning.
I have to admit that specific to learning, I'm not very sure. I'm not the learning expert in this part, so I'm afraid I cannot answer this question. But specific to gaming and enjoyment, to have clear knowledge what the implication of a specific task is in regard to the whole game or to the progress of the game is quite important.
For your score?
No, for my motivation to play, and because these games are not learning in a formal sense, but the target is to make the player acquire knowledge as a byproduct, and the gaming is a tool to motivate. So we have to really be strict on making this first of all, a fun experience. Otherwise, it won't work, the concept. So that's why infotainment is somewhat not really flying.
Can I still ask another
Yes,
Yes, yes.
The previous presentation, the two young ladies, they told us that now they have learned not to make friends that they don't know.
Okay.
When they play the sim safety game, they will not do it because they know they are not going to get a score. And now when they stand in front of us, they say they will not do it. Do you believe them that they will not do it?
I don't know what
I mean, it's fun to make friends that you don't know sometimes. So I am curious.
These games, you don't play with people you don't know, by design.
My question is whether making it very explicit how you win the game is really, like you said, fun. Because sometimes fun is when you make mistakes, you don't know what will happen, you become more
yes,
free.
But when you start playing a game, the rules change, and the rules of making mistakes or completing something or not completing something or joining with your friends are completely different because you are in a game. So in a game, it's accepted for me to be enemies with my best friend. He won't hold a grudge at me when the game finishes. So the assumptions that regulate normal behavior do not apply. For this setting to hold during a game session, it is important that the game is consistent. That means that it means many things, but one important thing is that I know that I can do some things and have an impact. And the second thing is that I know what things I have to do in order to have a specific impact. So there is no point for me in playing the game as a player if I don't know how to win. It won't be a game anymore. It will be something else. Some games are designed explicitly as in a way to prohibit you to reach a cause. It's by design. It's completely different, for example, from the usability of normal applications versus usability of games. There is no such thing as usability of games. Games are often made unusable by design. So I don't know if I'm covering. Okay.
Any more questions? There are more questions, at least two, but I will ask you just one.
Okay.
It's a question to you as an expert in this educational games. I have an impression this kind of application is developing quite rapidly, and the directions are somehow strange to anticipate. What do you think? If you look at the current trends in development of educational games, what shall we get from the, say, software industry in 5, 10, or even in 15 years? Will it replace normal education, which we have?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No. I think it has a role as exactly as informal learning method. When I was listening the second presentation in the first session about language, I remember that I learned English primarily by playing computer games. I didn't want to learn English, but I was forced to. So the same thing, the same way I learned many facts about different things, fictional or not fictional, by playing games. So this is a very big potential. If we can design into games knowledge, not necessarily explicit knowledge, but knowledge about concepts or about how the world works. For example, designing a game for learning about the dangers of the internet might be a very fun way to achieve the aims of sim safety. So I think there is a role there.
You say the children schools ask explicitly for providing them with educational games. Maybe after some time, that was the reason of my question, they won't just use other methods of learning except games.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. No more questions because we had everybody was assigned at the same time, and if there are no more questions, I thank you once again. Oh, you have one. Yes.
We have, I mean, that's why we are here, to discuss. Right?
Yes,
Not to
but
eat.
the catering is waiting as
How
well.
did you come up with these suggestions? Maybe I missed it.
Yes, we made, this was part of the method. We examined 3 games.
Which one?
First game is Explore, made by our colleagues in Bali. It's a game played on an open archaeological site. So players have mobile phones, have to go through the site, use the mobile phones as tools to get information and try and play a role of Roman citizens. And learn some facts about this city. It's Egnatia, ancient city. The second game is our implementation. It's called Museum Scrabble. It's played in a museum. Players are required to search for facts in the exhibits and try to connect these facts into concepts. For example, one concept was feminism, and it happened that the first Greek woman who is supporting feminism was exhibited, her painting, in this museum. So the players had to find this exhibit and connect it to this topic. They were allowed to do many connections. The most meaningful one had most points. The third game is called Frequency 1550. It's played in Amsterdam, in the city center, and the players impersonate characters of medieval Amsterdam. And their target is to become citizens of Amsterdam. To do that, they have to spend a year in Amsterdam, but it's in one day generally. So nobody learns explicit knowledge in those games, but because of the motivation of playing, they get immersed into the world of concepts and stuff. So
did you come up by observation, or did you give them questionnaires?
No, we didn't have to do with the players. We studied 6 published reports of the 6 papers, 2 for each game, 1 regarding design, 1 evaluation, plus the experience we carried as designers of our own games, plus using card sorting and the external input of external collaborators, which is educational experts and cultural experts, cultural science experts. So this was the method.
Okay, thank you very much. And thanks to all speakers and discussants.